You're listening to Keith Sports News. Oh yeah, I have returned to this channel, this podcast, yes, has returned. Oh yeah. Welcome back. Yes, welcome back to KSN episode 62. Yes. First of all, that is the new intro music. Yep. I changed the introduction music. This is called Tutorial Opener from Hunting Unlimited 4. And I'd figure it's time for a new intro music. And, yeah. So, hope everyone's doing well. Ever since I took my break, the last episode was on July 25th. This episode is on August the 11th. So that's about... that's over 2 weeks. About 2.5 weeks since the last episode. So, yeah, the last episode, all I talked about was my favorite podcasts and shows to listen to. And I want to thank to those that actually listened to that episode, because that episode was over 2 hours. Can you believe that? And I actually re-listened to that whole episode, and I am surprised that that episode got a lot more views than a lot of my other KSN episodes. Isn't that crazy? I didn't thought it would get that many. Or I didn't thought it would get a lot more than a lot of the other episodes. So I want to thank y'all very much. That just showed that you guys actually care about this channel, this podcast of me talking sports. Yeah, that's right. So, yeah, that was crazy. After that episode, I'm like, yep, I need a break. And, yeah. Before I talk about my sports news, how have I been? How have I been? I've been pretty well, actually. Nothing really special ever since I took my little hiatus. Yeah, about 2.5 weeks. And I gotta be honest with you guys, I enjoyed my break. Yeah, I enjoyed my break. Which means, if listen, we all need breaks at certain things, and if you're enjoying your break, that means your break went by fast. It did. Kind of like when you used to be in school, or if you are in school, you get that summer break, right? It always goes by fast. It went by fast for me when I used to go to school, So, yeah. So I enjoyed my break. I did watch some sports during my break. Yes. I only took a break doing episodes. Okay? These, sports talk. And I also got to be honest, for those of you that follow a bunch of these episodes, these episodes twice a week, usually twice a week, and they're usually on Mondays and Fridays, okay? Sometimes it'll be on a Tuesday if I'm unavailable to have Monday's episode ready. But it's mostly Mondays and Fridays, before the weekend and after the weekend, because Mondays and Fridays are the two biggest days in sports talk because of the weekend. Alright? And I would record these very late at night, or right before I go to sleep sometimes. And I would upload them and have them ready, published at 11 a.m. Central Time. Yeah. So I don't really re-listen to my podcasts, these episodes. I really don't re-listen to them. Although I did re-listen to the last episode, which was over 2 hours, me talking about my favorite sports podcast. Then after that, I was like, I'm done. I need a break. And I think I took the right time. I think it was the right time for me to take a break. And I also think it's the right time for me to come back. It is Monday, August the 11th, and a lot of people start school around this time of the year. Yay! I know. Good thing I don't have to worry about that anymore. So, yeah. Sometimes, another thing I want to say, sometimes I just don't, before I took my break, okay? Sometimes I don't feel like doing these episodes. It might be because sometimes I feel tired, or sometimes I just don't feel like talking about sports, even though I usually enjoy doing it. But, it is what it is. So again, I enjoyed my break. I picked the right time. Not too much crazy news happened, I don't think, during my time off. Which I'm kind of glad. I'm kind of glad not much crazy news happened. And I think I picked the right time to come back. So yeah. Because, a lot of these sports talk podcasts, the host, they need a break as well. Mainly during the summer, because it's summer vacation. A lot of these people, they have their own families, so it makes sense. Alright? So I didn't really do anything special during my time off. But, yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Oh, and during my time off, you guys know that there's a second channel you can follow, the main channel called Eric Super Magnificent. That channel is more of the fun stuff, gaming, and vlogging videos. This channel is just sports talk. The reason why I don't want to do it on the main channel is, like I said, is because that channel has always been vlogging and gaming. Although years ago, that channel did had some sports talking videos, but a lot of times those videos didn't go so well. So I was like, well, how about we try a series, a podcast, since you can now do your own podcasts on YouTube, which is great. Years ago, that didn't exist, okay? Just like YouTube Shorts, that didn't exist as well. So I figure, since I have this channel used to be a pro wrestling talk, mainly old pro wrestling, but I knew it wouldn't go so well. So I'm like, well, instead of deleting this channel, why not keep it and change it to present sports talk? And I think it's gone well. I know I've already done 60 1 episodes in over 7 months. I started, I believe, mid-December or like a week before Christmas last year. And before, golly, here we are almost 8 months later since I started this podcast. And I think it's gone well. So, speaking of YouTube Shorts, yep, I've actually done 2 YouTube Shorts during my hiatus. The first one was, to me, the biggest news during my time off. My break was when Hulk Hogan passed away. That's why I did that short. I was in my vehicle, okay? I wasn't at the house, you know? And it's crazy. I still can't believe he passed away. As you can see, if you're a old pro wrestling fan like I am, then you know this shirt that I'm wearing. Today would have been Hulk Hogan's 72nd birthday. Yeah. That's why I'm wearing this shirt. And yes, I mentioned this before. I am a big fan of the old pro wrestling. I'm watching this era called the Monday Night Wars between WCW and the Attitude Era in the WWF. Okay? I'm in the year 1998. I started almost 3 years ago, September of 2022. So I chose the beginning, September of 1995. So 3 years later, 1998, watching that year in 2025. And I love it. I love watching it. I don't watch every single show, but I would watch some of it on a weekly basis, mainly on Mondays, the Monday night show. Today, or this evening, I'm going to watch WCW's 1998, what's it called? Road Wild. It's the event where it's like a motorcycle event. Yeah. I think it's in North Dakota. I don't know. But I remember that was the year where, or no, 2 years before that, 1996, that was when Hulk Hogan turned bad into a bad guy. So, yeah, I still love watching it. It just gets crazier throughout the years for both products. And I think 1998 was the best year ever in pro wrestling history, in my opinion, because both products, the ratings were neck and neck. Because I once saw a graph of the ratings for both products, or for both Monday night shows, and the ratings were close in 1998. 1996, WCW dominated the ratings, especially after Hulk Hogan turned heel. But I wasn't really watching much WCW in 96 and 97. I was watching more WWF at the time, because the Attitude Era didn't start until 1997. So 1996 was still the New Generation era. I wanted to see more of that. How they went from the New Generation era and slowly into the Attitude Era. And I enjoyed that. I enjoyed watching the World Wrestling Federation back then. And then I got into WCW once Goldberg came in. Yeah. I was waiting for that. And now Goldberg just retired. And I heard that he was unhappy with his retirement match. What if he comes back and he wins the Royal Rumble next year? Oh my gosh. By the way, the Royal Rumble, if you follow today's WWE, Royal Rumbles in Saudi Arabia. That's going to be weird to watch, especially for the women's Royal Rumble, because they can't show their skin, only their face. They got to wear full clothing from top to bottom. That's going to be weird to watch. 30 women. It is what it is. I guess I will watch it. I guess I will watch that, because that'll be weird to watch. I'm not a huge fan of today's WWE, but I do love listening to these pro wrestling podcasts, because I still want to know what's going on in today's WWE. It's the same thing with today's MLB. I'm not a fan of today's Major League Baseball, but I still want to know what's going on. So yeah. By the way, when I took my break, I also took a break listening to podcasts. I was listening to a whole bunch of music. I have Sirius XM, and I pay for that subscription monthly, and it's got so many stations on there, and I'm like, you know what? I'm taking a break. Not only I took a break doing this podcast, but I'm also taking a break listening to other people's podcasts. I'm just going to check out the music section, and man, last week, pretty much every day last week, I was listening to a lot of the Sirius XM's music channel, mainly rock and roll, classic rock and roll from the 1970s and 80s. I listened to the Beatles channel, the Grateful Dead channel. They got their own channels, because people still talk about those bands to this day. Then later in the week, I got into the heavy metal music. Oh man, I took pictures of the songs just so I can add them to my playlist. So yeah, I'm a big music guy. A lot of people, they like to watch movies and TV shows. I don't do that. I don't really watch movies or TV series. I mainly watch sports, and old wrestling. But when I'm not watching that, I would listen to music or watch YouTube videos. That's pretty much it. So yeah. Alright. So, I'm doing well. For those of you that are happy to see me back, thank y'all very much. Thank y'all for not unsubscribing because I took a break. Yeah. So yeah, I did 2 shorts. Again, I'm sorry if I'm all over the place. Sometimes it's like that. Sometimes I'll talk about one topic that leads to another topic that leads to another topic. I hope that doesn't bother anyone. But I think a lot of the podcasts that I listen to, I think they do the same thing. So anyways, yeah, during my break, I did 2 shorts because I wanted to talk about, the Hulk Hogan's passing. That was the first short. That short got over 1,000 views. That's kind of surprising. And I know shorts are the thing now on YouTube. Years ago, YouTube shorts didn't exist. And I get why shorts are the thing now, because a lot of people are on their cell phones. And I get it. Now, for me, I'm not really on my cell phone very much when I'm at the house. I'm at the house right now. This is on a laptop. I'm on my laptop and computer more than my cell phone. When I'm not at the house, okay, that's when I'm on my cell phone. But some people probably don't have a laptop or computer. They'll just have their cell phones with them, and they'll do everything on their cell phones. I prefer doing things on the computer or a laptop. That's just me. But you just never know. You never know about these shorts. Sometimes they'll get a lot of views, sometimes they won't. So yeah.
Hey guys, this is my first
I
short
think,
on this
yeah,
channel.
so that was my first short. It was Hulk Hogan's passing, July 24 this year. And the second short, the second short I did was not too long ago. Me talking about my favorite CFL team, the Montreal Alouettes, losing to the Edmonton Elks. I'll talk about that later. But yeah, I might do some shorts from time to time, you know, whenever I feel like it. So, and live streams. That's right, live streams. I've done 3 live streams of me watching sports. The last 2 streams got a lot of views, so that's great. I don't know when the next live stream will be. I might just go live whenever. So make sure you hit that notification bell. Because remember, the last stream I did was me watching the All-Star game of Major League Baseball. The episode before that live stream, I didn't say, "Hey, I'm gonna do a live stream of me watching the MLB All-Star game." I didn't say that. I just went live. I decided at the night before the game, I'm like, okay, I think I will do a live stream. So I just went live. So it might happen again. Who knows? Who knows when I'll go live? But yeah, I would like to do that from time to time, just like the shorts. But these podcasts, I'll still do 2 episodes a week. And if I ever make a change, on this channel, then I'll let you guys know. All right. Sounds like a plan here. Okay, you guys probably know that I have a Google document of me writing down the things that I want to talk about. All right, so now we can talk about what happened this past sports weekend. The main thing that I follow, you guys probably know by now if you follow a bunch of these episodes, my number one favorite sports league is the Canadian Football League. Even though I live nowhere near Canada, I love watching that league. I call that fun football because it's fun. It's entertaining to me. I love it. I love the broadcast. I love the announcers. I love the game itself. I love pretty much everything about it. The only thing I might consider changing is the overtime rule. We had an overtime rule. We had an overtime game. That was the first overtime game this season. I'll talk about that in a bit. All right. And of course, you got the Major League Baseball season. That's also important. So yeah, CFL and MLB. Those are the 2 important leagues happening right now to me. Okay. Let me just say this: both CFL and the MLB are unpredictable. Yeah. Any team can win, any team can lose to any team. The best team can lose to the worst team. It can happen. It's unpredictable. But that's what makes it more interesting, you know. Okay. Let's get into the things I want to talk about. We're going to start off with the CFL Week 10. The regular season is about halfway over already. Can you believe that? I know. Crazy. And Week 10 was the best regular season week yet this season. And I'm glad. I came back to talk about this. This is the main thing I want to talk about. The Canadian Football League's Week 10, the best week of the season because all 4 games were very close. They were all great games. That's right. Let's start off with Thursday Night Football. between the BC Lions and the Hamilton Tiger Cats. It's always a good game. It seems like it's always a great game whenever these two teams meet, because I watched that game when they were in BC not too long ago, and that was a great game. So this past Thursday, they played again, this time in Hamilton, and my gosh, that was a crazy game. Especially, listen, at halftime, it was 13-7. BC was winning. Like, oh my gosh, the second half was crazy high scoring. The second half was crazy high scoring. Yeah. It was a shootout. Let's just say that. It was a shootout. And I've always liked shootout games. Offense, all right. So, after the third quarter, the game was tied 28-28. And the fourth quarter, more points were scored. Both teams scored 10 points. Hamilton was winning 28-10, and then BC got a late touchdown, and they got the 2-point conversion to make it 28-28. Or excuse me, that was the third quarter. I'm talking about fourth quarter. Here we go. Excuse me. My apologies. Okay, fourth quarter, both teams scored 10 points. Okay, this is what I'm looking at. I'm looking at the recap, because it's hard to remember everything that happened from 4 days ago. So, it was close. The game was tight. Hamilton got a single. Remember, you can get 1 point in the CFL. You can't kneel in the end zone. And that makes this league really fun, because they got giant end zones. You gotta return the ball out of the end zone. If you don't, you get a single. Then BC got a field goal to make it 31-29. Hamilton got another field goal to make it 32-31. And then they got another field goal after that to make it 35-31. And then BC scored a touchdown with 45 seconds left to make it 38-35. And then Hamilton with a late field goal to tie the game at 38 apiece. And the game went into overtime. Yes. This was the first overtime game this season, and there can be ties. There can be ties in the CFL. I'm not really a fan of ties, but ties are rare. Just like in the NFL, ties are rare. You may not see a tie game in years, you know. So in overtime, there's no clock. It's kind of like college football. There's no clock, no game clock. You play a number of rounds. I think it's up to 3 rounds. And if the game is still tied after 3 rounds, then they'll call it a tie. But, you know, I'm not really a big fan of the overtime rule, but I guess that's okay, because not many games go into overtime anyways. Unlike the MLB, a lot of the games go into extra innings sometimes. It's ridiculous with that stupid rule, the ghost runner rule. That's the worst rule in my opinion. I wish they could get rid of that. They can keep everything else, but can they get rid of that rule? Like, there's a reason why that rule isn't in the postseason, because that rule sucks, you know? So the game went into overtime. Hamilton, I believe they got the ball first, and then not too long after, a fumble. BC recovers, and oh my gosh, just like that, BC kicks a field goal, and they won the game. 41-38. Wow, what a game that was. So that was the Thursday night game. And you know what? I'm glad BC won, because Hamilton's in the same division. as my favorite team, which is the Montreal Alouettes. And speaking of the Alouettes, Friday Night Football. In Week 9, the Alouettes got crushed by the best team, I think, in the CFL, the Saskatchewan Roughriders. And the Roughriders did not play in Week 10. So they're going to come off fresh with a bye. I'll be shocked if the Roughriders lose their next game after a bye. So the Alouettes, they were at home against the Edmonton Elks, the one-win Edmonton Elks team. And I'm like, all right, hoping for Montreal to bounce back after that crushing loss. They can't lose again at home to Edmonton. And this is why, listen, okay. How do I explain this game? Well, the first quarter, Montreal looked really good. They had a great crowd. They got a full capacity crowd, even though I think Montreal has the least amount of seats in the venue out of all the teams. Montreal has the least amount of capacity. Because I once was reading about that, the CFL Wikipedia article, and I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I think the Edmonton Elks has the most capacity. I think it is. If not, then it must be Winnipeg or Calgary. I know it's a West team that has the most capacity. You know, in the old days, the Montreal Alouettes, they used to play in their Olympic stadium, where the Montreal Expos used to play. Yeah, they built that venue for the 1976 Summer Olympics. And oh my gosh, that's almost 50 years ago. And it's a shame that that venue is no longer being used. And the Toronto Argonauts, they used to play in Rogers Center, also known as the Sky Dome. Yeah, baseball and football sharing the same stadium. That happened a lot in the old days. The old Pittsburgh Stadium was shared by both the Steelers and the Pirates. Another one, the old Cincinnati Stadium, shared by both the Bengals and the Reds. You know, the Metrodome that used to be in Minneapolis, were both shared by the Vikings and the Twins, you know. So, yeah, in the old days, a lot of these stadiums were multi-purpose. It's because back in the old days, they didn't make as much money as they do now. Now they make a ridiculous amount of money. It's crazy. So, yeah, money talks. Money talks. So, back to the game. I really thought Montreal would win. And let me say this, in the second quarter, near halftime, the quarterback threw a terrible pass that led to a pick-6 return for the Elks. And just like that, the Elks, they got back into the game, man. And then third quarter, not much happened. Alouettes scored 6 points to make it 19-11. So I'm like, okay, they have to win this game. They have to win. Oh, yeah, I almost forgot. The Edmonton Elks quarterback, Cody Fajardo. Fajardo is the former Alouettes quarterback. The man who got through that game-winning touchdown in the Grey Cup in 2023. And basically, he did the exact same thing in that Friday night game. Edmonton got a late touchdown and they won the game by 1 point, 23-22. That was a heartbreaking loss for the Alouettes. I'll just say this. If that pick six never happened, Alouettes would have won. They would have won. They would have won. It's like, and this is why I was watching that game. This is why I did that short at the end of that game. If you haven't seen it or listened to it, go ahead and check that out. So that was very unfortunate for my favorite team. But hey, the season's only halfway over. A lot can change when there's only 9 teams in the league. Like if that was in the NFL, oh, that would be bad. Because there's 32 teams in the league. So Saturday's game, now usually I watched almost all of these games live. I try to. This Saturday game, the first one between the Ottawa Redblacks and the Toronto Argonauts, I didn't watch it. I decided I'm not going to watch that game. 2 teams with a losing record in the same division as the Alouettes. After the Alouettes lost that game, I'm like, I'm not going to watch this game. But I should have, because that was a high scoring game. I did watch the highlight video on YouTube. I saw that. I didn't thought it would be high scoring. And my gosh, it was the Ottawa Redblacks taking on the Toronto Argonauts, the Grey Cup champions. After the first quarter, it was 22-1. And I'm like, oh, well, dang, it's going to be a crushing loss for the Redblacks. But then the Redblacks scored 18 points in the second quarter. Toronto got a field goal. It was 25-19. And oh yeah, the second quarter, I believe this happened in the second quarter. The highlight of the game, in my opinion, the best play of the week, near halftime, Herslow, the Argonauts wide receiver. Did y'all see when he did that crazy leap? Man, he's fast. He leaped like, I think they showed a graphic. He was like 4 feet in the air. That is insane, man. It's like when Hulk Hogan did the leg drop in his prime. He was like 4 feet in the air. My gosh, that was amazing. Yeah. Rod Smith was the announcer. I believe his partner was, I think it was Dwayne Ford. I remember, I was surprised Rod Smith was the announcer for that game because they were both 2 losing record teams. But yeah, this game, unreal. Yeah. It was a shootout. Higher scoring game than the Thursday night game. Somehow, the Ottawa Redblacks won the game by a score of 46-42. Yeah. The worst team in the West and the worst team in the East with big road wins. Wow. Crazy. And Saturday night was the biggest matchup, in my opinion. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers. 5 Tayer's favorite team. Yep, I'm sure he's listening to this. Taking on the Calgary Stampeders. Another rematch. This game I had to watch because it was a big matchup. It was a must-win for the Blue Bombers because Calgary, they won both of their previous matchups. And this was another close game. The game was in Calgary. For some reason, I thought the game was in Winnipeg, but it was in Calgary. Winnipeg scored 17 points, 17-0 after a little into the second quarter. Then Calgary got a touchdown and a single. Winnipeg got another field goal to make it 20-8. Then Calgary got a touchdown and a single to make it 20-16. Then Winnipeg got a field goal before halftime to make it 23-16. The third quarter, not much happened. Stampeders got a pair of field goals to make it 23-22, and then they got another field goal at the beginning of the fourth quarter to make it 25-23. And then not much happened until the last minute of the game. The Blue Bombers got a field goal, and they retake the lead, and a single to make it 27-25. And by the way, that field goal was a 63-yard field goal by Sergio Castillo. I believe Dustin Nielsen and Glenn Suter were on the call for that game. And I was like, wow, 63 yards. I mean, you don't really see field goals that are 63 yards or longer. But man, when they make those very long field goals, you got to give them credit, man. But then there was still a minute left, so I'm like, uh-oh. Don't celebrate, Winnipeg. Calgary has some time left. And they went down the field, and they scored the game-winning field goal to make it 28-27. Heartbreaker loss to the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Yeah, it was a heartbreaking loss for my favorite team and Five Tayer's favorite team. It'll be interesting when our favorite teams meet, which will be pretty soon, later this month. Yeah. But overall, fantastic week in the CFL. That was the big weekend. But all 4 games were close. Amazing. So yeah, I try to watch every game live because I'm a big fan. And you can do that because none of the games are on at the same time. That's the best part. Kind of like the UFL. Let me get a drink of water because I need it. Alright. So the next episode will be on Friday, so I'm going to make my quick prediction of this upcoming Thursday night. We got the Ottawa Red Blacks taking on the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. The Blue Bombers have to win, and I'm going to pick them to win. If they lose this game, that's going to be crazy. Blue Bombers have to win. Alright. Okay. Let's see. Which team has the bye? The Stampeders have the bye. Okay. Oh, by the way, pretty soon, the NFL season's going to begin in about a couple of weeks. Yeah, so the CFL, the way they do it is now they're having doubleheader Saturday games. Saturday afternoon and a Saturday evening game. But once the NFL begins their regular season, which is on a Thursday night, That's when the CFL is no longer not going to have Thursday night games. They'll have, I believe they'll have a doubleheader on Friday and Saturday, or they might have one Friday night game and a triple Saturday games. But I think it's going to be doubleheader Friday and doubleheader Saturday. Yeah, because they don't want to compete with the NFL, and that's a smart idea, because pretty much no league can compete with the National Football League. Speaking of that, yeah, I know a lot of people are looking forward to the NFL season because it is the #1 league in America. But you know what's kind of sad about that is when the NFL begins the regular season, that's when the MLB gets really good. The Major League Baseball regular season. That's when their season gets really interesting. And you know how NFL has a lot of Sunday afternoon games? Well, MLB also has a lot of Sunday afternoon games. I'm just saying. It's hard. It's hard to compete with the NFL. You know, the World Series, they're going to have to... There's a one World Series game that they're going to have to compete with a primetime NFL game, which is Monday Night Football. They used to compete with Sunday Night Football. But I'm pretty sure... I'm not sure what that Monday Night Football game was last year during game 3 of the World Series last year, but I'm pretty sure that World Series game 3 got more ratings than that Monday Night Football matchup because it was the New York Yankees and the Los Angeles Dodgers, the two most popular teams. Yeah. So there you go. But I can't say the same thing for the 2023 World Series between the Texas Rangers and the Arizona Diamondbacks. That World Series, unfortunately, for the MLB, that World Series didn't get that much ratings. It's the opposite. But I always look forward to the postseason. Okay. Speaking of the NFL, hey, I mentioned that the CFL had a very long field goal. Well, guess what? The NFL had a... I don't watch preseason. I don't watch preseason for any sport league because they don't count. The games don't count. I just don't really care. But I saw a highlight. On SportsCenter, on TSN. I was watching some of the SportsCenter, and they showed what's the kicker's name? I forgot his name. If I look him up, then I know. But he was with the Jacksonville Jaguars, and he kicked a 70-yard field goal. Cam Little, that's his name. I looked him up. He kicked a 70-yard field goal. That's crazy. 70 yards. Holy crap. Where did he play college? Because my father, he sent me that video. He did play for Arkansas. Yep, that's why my father, he sent me that video of him kicking that super long field goal. Because my father, he went to Arkansas. He's a fan of Arkansas sports. Yeah, so that's awesome. Oh my gosh. Is this dude gonna be the new Justin Tucker? Speaking of Justin Tucker, yeah, he's actually no longer with the Baltimore Ravens. And I think he's suspended. Is Justin Tucker suspended? Justin Tucker is the greatest NFL kicker of all time. Where did he play for college? He played for Texas. I'm not sure if he was a super great kicker in Texas, but yeah, Justin Tucker is no longer with the Baltimore Ravens, and he has been suspended for 10 games. But he's not in a team. Wow. 70 yards. And unfortunately, that would have been the NFL record. Unfortunately, it's not going to be in the record books because the game doesn't count. It's in a preseason game, so that's very unfortunate. I know that I don't go to an NFL game. I used to a long time ago with the New Orleans Saints, but that was like 13 years ago, I want to say. I know the seats are expensive. They have to be cheaper for preseason, right? Because if they're expensive during preseason, then that is ridiculous. I'd rather go to a preseason game than watching a preseason game on TV. Because I think I would have a good time. I would love to go to a CFL game. If I ever go to Canada, it's got to be during the summer. Which means I will definitely go to a CFL game if I ever go to Canada. I don't want to go to Canada during the winter. Freezing, cold. Even though I enjoyed my 2 snow days that I had back in January. What was I going to say? I was going to say something, but I forgot. Unless if I already said it. Yeah, congratulations to Cam Little. He made history, even though it's not going to count in the history books, but we're all going to remember that. Yeah. Oh yeah, I know what I was going to say. Preseason. So, NFL preseason, their games are not on the major networks. I think only the Hall of Fame game on NBC, but all the other ones, they're not on major networks. NFL Network would be showing a bunch of their games. And when you watch it, listen, I was watching SportsCenter, so they were kind of showing some highlights for NFL preseason games. The main thing that I was looking at was the score bugs, the TV scoreboard. Why do these games use previous score bugs from Fox, CBS, NBC? I think it was the Minnesota Vikings. I think they played the Houston Texans, and they were using the NFL on Fox's previous score bug. I don't know why they do that. And then I saw another one. I forgot which teams were playing, but it was the previous CBS score bug. Yeah. It's kind of weird, right? It's kind of weird. But they've done that for a long time. They've done that for years. I gotta be honest. In my opinion, a lot of these old score bugs, they look better than today's score bugs. Maybe I should do a special video, or I don't know, me talking about my favorite score bugs. But oh my gosh, I really wish the NFL on Fox kept that score bug, their previous one. I mean, why did they change it? Just because they were hosting the Super Bowl, even though they've only used the previous score bug for 2 years? That's pathetic. Is this really going to be their new score bug? The one from the Super Bowl? If it is, then that sucks, because a lot of people were criticizing it. People are saying that it's a distraction. It looks bad. It's so bad. It's so bad. It's worse than the MLB on Fox score bug. Because we're all used to the MLB on Fox score bug by now. By the way, I hope they change it in October for the postseason. Because they would usually change it about every 4 years. They changed it in 2017 and in 2021. So we're approaching 4 years since they introduced that score bug. I'm hoping they would change it, and I'm hoping it would look better. It better not be worse. What if they use today's NFL on Fox score bug for the MLB's postseason and World Series? Oh, that would be terrible. But back in the old days, the good old days of Fox Sports, they would use the same graphics for both the NFL and MLB. I don't know why they don't use the same graphics anymore. I kind of miss it like that. That's just me. But anyways, the last thing I'm going to talk about is the MLB. Big news. So I have the ESPN app. I would listen to some podcasts on there. It's free. And it's the best app to look at scores and news and stuff like that. Especially if it's on your phone. But on the computer, just type in ESPN.com, And I got a notification that the MLB made history by having the first ever female umpire in the major leagues. I'm like, wow, that's big news. Yeah, thanks to the ESPN app, I got the notification of that news. So that's awesome. I'm happy for her. Her name is Jen Pawol, I think. She made her debut on Saturday's game between the Miami Marlins and the Atlanta Braves. So I was watching TSN Sports Center, so they were showing that game. And they were mainly talking about her. And she was the first base umpire. So yeah, she was in the minor leagues for years, and so they called her up. They called her up to the major leagues, even though there's like a month and a half left in the regular season. And then Sunday's game, she was the home plate umpire. I was going to watch that game, but I didn't have the time. But I watched the highlight video on YouTube. That's the best part about YouTube. Watch the highlights, Yeah. I think a lot of people tuned in to that game mainly to see her, on how she's gonna do. So, congratulations. She made history. The first female major league umpire in the regular season. We've seen female officials in the NFL, UFL, and CFL. I don't know about college. I don't remember seeing a female official in college football, but there probably is some female official or officials in college football. But I know for sure I saw some in the NFL, CFL, and UFL. That's great. I don't know if I've seen any female officials in the NBA, but I know we got the WNBA. Usually in a women's sports league, you would see women officials. Women's softball, women umpires, female umpires. Women's hockey, female referees and linesmen. WWE, there's 2 female officials. I mean, that's great. There's some women announcers. Yeah. That's really cool. That's really cool. So, yeah. So congratulations to Miss Jen Pawol for becoming the first female umpire in the regular season. I hope she does well. I don't know if next year, if they're really going to introduce the robot umpires where they get every single call correctly, kind of like in tennis, the electronic calls. They kind of introduced that in the MLB All-Star game. I was watching that, as y'all know, I did a live stream of me watching that game, and it was kind of weird at first, because it was something completely new that they were trying out. It was kind of weird, but I guess the All-Star game was the right game to do that, because the All-Star game doesn't really mean much anymore. Unfortunately, it is what it is. So, I don't know if it'll be next season or the season after that, but I think minor league baseball is doing that. Oh, man. I've mentioned this before and I'll mention it again. I'm really looking forward to next year's World Baseball Classic. And I don't know if they're going to do the electronic calls in the WBC. I don't know if they're going to use the pitch clock in the WBC. The last World Baseball Classic was in 2023, and 2023 was the same season where they introduced the pitch clock and the stupid extra inning rule, but they didn't use the pitch clock in the World Baseball Classic. I don't remember if they used the ghost runner rule. I don't remember, but a lot of the WBC games, they didn't go to extra innings anyways, but they didn't use the pitch clock. And I've always enjoyed the World Baseball Classic, because baseball's not in the Olympics. Well, it will be in the next Summer Olympics, but it wasn't in the Paris Olympics last year. It wasn't in the Tokyo. Oh no, it was in the Tokyo Olympics, but unfortunately, no fans. But they weren't in London 2012, Rio 2016. They had to have it in 2020 or 2021 in Tokyo because they love baseball in Japan. But unfortunately, no fans in the stands. But 2028, there will be baseball in the Summer Olympics, and I'm hoping the major leaguers can be in the Olympics. I don't know if they will, though. I'm hoping that they will, but that's still, not another couple of years. Next year's will be the Winter Olympics, and they're having NHL players in it. That's awesome. That's the main sport to watch. So, yeah, and that Four Nations face-off that they had was amazing. Yeah. Yeah, 6 months. Less than 6 months will be the Winter Olympics. I am really looking forward to that. I can't believe it, because in 2022, oh, man, I watched a lot. I watched a lot of that. So... but yeah, the WBC, I would still like to go to a game in Houston, because Houston is one of the cities that will be hosting the World Baseball Classic, and they've never hosted it before, which I find that surprisingly, because a lot of Mexicans live in Houston, southern Texas, and Mexico will be playing in that venue, Daikin Park, formerly known as Minute Maid Park. I still call it Minute Maid Park, but yeah, I would like to go to a game. I'm trying to see if tickets are available, but I don't think they're available yet. But I'll try my best. I'm hoping it's not going to be super expensive. But that would be awesome. That would be awesome if I really go. And if I really do go, I'll let you guys know. So, yeah. Alright. The last thing I'm going to check is... Oh, I forgot to check the CFL standings. My apologies. Let me check the CFL standings. I usually do that after I recap the week the weekend of the Canadian Football League. So let's check the standings. Since I took a 2.5 week break. So in the East Division, the Hamilton Tiger Cats are leading 6 wins, 3 losses, followed by the Alouettes, 5 wins and 4 losses, followed by the Red Blacks, 3 wins and 6 losses, and the Grey Cup champions, the Toronto Argonauts, with 2 wins and 7 losses. Hey, somehow the Argonauts, they can turn their season around and they can go back to the Grey Cup again. I don't think it's gonna happen though. They don't have Chad Kelly yet. They haven't brought him back yet. He had a terrible injury in last year's East final matchup. To the West Division, the best team, the Saskatchewan Roughriders, with 7 wins and 1 loss, followed by the Stampeders with 6 wins and 3 losses, followed by the Blue Bombers, 4 wins and 4 losses, followed by the BC Lions with 4 wins and 5 losses, and the Edmonton Elks, 2 wins and 6 losses. Now I'm going to do the same thing with the MLB standings. Hey, before you know it, it'll be October again. Postseason will be coming up in about a month and a half. All right, so the postseason, or the regular season standings. The American League East, the Toronto Blue Jays are in first place with 69 wins and 50 losses. The Boston Red Sox are 4 games behind. The New York Yankees are 6.5 games behind. The Tampa Bay Rays are 12 games behind, and the Baltimore Orioles are 15.5 games behind. The American League Central, the Detroit Tigers are in first place with 68 wins and 51 losses. The Cleveland Guardians are 6 games behind. That means they're catching up. Because I remember a couple weeks ago, they were, 12 games behind? The second place team was 12 games behind. They're catching up to the Tigers. Uh-oh. The Kansas City Royals are 9.5 games behind. Minnesota Twins, 11 games behind. And the Chicago White Sox, 24.5 games behind, which means I'm going to have to say their win-loss record, 43 wins and 75 losses. The American League West, the Houston Astros are in first place with 66 wins and 52 losses. Uh-oh, the Seattle Mariners are right behind them. They're only a half a game behind. Followed by the Texas Rangers, 6.5 games behind. Followed by the Anaheim Angels. Yes, I call them the Anaheim Angels instead of Los Angeles Angels. They're 10 games behind. And I read that Ron Washington, the Angels manager, no longer managing the team for the rest of the regular season due to health issues. That's very unfortunate for him. And I almost said Oakland. Just the Athletics. They should still be in Oakland, in my opinion, until they move to Vegas. They're 14 games behind. And now to the National League East Division. The Philadelphia Phillies, with 68 wins and 49 losses. They're in first place. Wow. Before my break, I believe the New York Mets were in first place. They are now 5.5 games behind. Wow, they've been losing quite a bit of games. Just like the Yankees. I would get some Yankees news sometimes. The Mets are 5.5 games behind the Phillies. The Marlins are 11.5 games behind. My least favorite team, the Atlanta Braves, are 17.5 games behind. That's a little surprising. And the Washington Nationals, 21 games behind. The National League Central, the Milwaukee Brewers. What? Wasn't the Chicago Cubs in first place before I took my break? Wow. I'm telling you, the standings can change like crazy. The Brewers are in first place now with 73 wins and 44 losses. The Cubs are 6 games behind. They must have been losing quite a bit of games. The Cincinnati Reds are 12 games behind. The Cardinals are 14 games behind. And the Pirates are 23 games behind. And to the National League West, the Los Angeles Dodgers are in first place with 68 wins and 50 losses. San Diego Padres are behind them with 66 wins, 52 losses. They're 2 games behind. San Francisco Giants are 9 games behind. Wow. Their average, 59 wins and 59 losses. Arizona Diamondbacks are 11 games behind. And the worst team, Colorado Rockies. It's funny how they're the last team I'm mentioning. And they're the worst team. 37.5 games behind. And I have to say their win-loss record, 30 wins and 87 losses. Will they break the record? Will they break last year's Chicago White Sox record, losing record? It might still happen. It's hard to say. It's hard to say if they will or not. I think they might. And I hate to say this. Actually, no, I don't hate to say this. I actually want that to happen. Sorry, Rockies fans. I want to see them break the record again. Back-to-back years. Oh. Guess we'll wait. We'll wait until the end of the season, regular season. Let's see here. Oh my gosh, the New York Mets have lost 9 out of their last 10 games. Yeah, I'm looking on Google, the standings. They'll show you their last 10 games, their record of their last 10 games. The Mets are 1-9 the last 10 games. What the heck happened? Phillies are 7 and they won 7 out of their 10 games. So that's a huge difference, man. That's why the Phillies are in first place now. Mets are 5.5 games behind. The Milwaukee Brewers won 9 out of their last 10 games. That's how they went to first place. San Diego Padres, they won 7 out of their last 10 games, so they're catching up to the Los Angeles Dodgers. Boston Red Sox, they've won 7 out of their last 10 games. Not the Yankees, they lost 7 out of their last 10 games. The Cleveland Guardians have won 8 out of their last 10 games, so that's why they're sort of catching up to the Detroit Tigers. And the Seattle Mariners won 9 out of their last 10 games. That's why they're right behind the Houston Astros. Wow. So there you have it, guys. So yeah, it's great to be back. KSN, episode 62. And yeah, I picked the right time to take a break, and I picked the right time to come back. So yeah, guys, I should be back on Friday, where I'll recap the Thursday night CFL game and predict the rest of the CFL regular season Week 11 games. Yeah, that's what Dustin Nielsen said after Week 10. Good luck to Week 11, because Week 10 was the best week in the regular season. So yeah, folks, I think that's it. I think that is it. So I'm gonna listen to some podcasts this week, mainly on SiriusXM, Mad Dog Sports Radio with Christopher Mad Dog Russo, my number one favorite sports talk show. Because he talks about a little bit of everything. Alright. Oh, that music! Oh, yeah. We know this music. The old intro. Which is now the outro music. See you on Friday. Thank you for listening to Keith's Sports News.